Part one of today's Local 6 Legal Line, we visit with Joe Roark of the Bryant Law Center, Paducah and Louisville, and the topic is divorce and family law. We'll answer your questions at 1-888-208-6946. And the first question comes from someone who says, I have shared custody of my daughter, and when it's my turn for visitation, my ex-wife just forgets to send along the daughter's medication and the daughter's toys. As a result, my daughter is very upset. I know she's doing this on purpose. What can I do about it?
Yeah, you get that one a lot. So the medicine is the more concerning of the two things. Neither one is okay, but the medicine is the one that you really need to be worried about. There's no excuse or no justification for failing to send your child's medicine. You know, you can't allege that it won't get sent back, or you can't allege that it's not necessary. And most prescriptions you can't just get two of, one to keep at one house and one to keep at the other. And if that is happening on purpose, or even if it's happening just because it's an accident over and over again, that's not great, and that needs to stop. With the toys, almost every judge everywhere would say that the toys belong to the child, and the child should be able to freely carry those things back and forth. You get this all the time with video game systems like an Xbox or a PlayStation. And so remember, when you do stuff like this, if you're a parent, you know, you can justify it by saying that you're trying to make sure the things come back or they don't get harmed, but what you're really doing is kind of injuring your child who's in a stressful situation already, so don't do that to them. And if it carries on like that, almost every judge everywhere will make a requirement in an order, if it came to that point, that those things that belong to the child will go with the child.
We have a question from Jason who says, my soon-to-be ex-wife ran up over $32,000 in credit card bills. Now, the credit card was only in her name. I had no idea she was doing this. Am I on the hook for that bill?
Well, it depends. Sometimes, well, let me start with where the law begins. The law begins that is not quite as strong with debt, but that everything that is acquired during the marriage is a marital asset that is subject to division. It's basically the same thing with debt, although you can make a lot of arguments that if you're in a circumstance like this where you didn't know about the debt, that it should not be assigned to you, but one, that money would have to not have been used for marital purposes, and you would have to really genuinely not know anything about it. And that's a hard thing to explain away where $32,000 went, because, you know, either the groceries or the gifts or things are coming in and getting paid for. And if your income wouldn't support those expenditures, it's reasonable to think that maybe you knew something was going on. And people claim this a lot, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you do have the ability to make that argument.
I have about 45 seconds left in this segment, and a question from an anonymous viewer who says, should I continue to pay maintenance when my ex-wife is spending all her time with her boyfriend, going on vacations, family events, having fun? What should I do?
Okay, so maintenance in Kentucky, spousal support or alimony, is what we used to call it, is continues on for whatever term it's ordered until such time as either the recipient passes away, which you don't hope for that, or until such circumstance as either the spouse who's receiving the maintenance remarries or cohabits with another person. And the cohabiting is what it sounds like may be happening here, but it does require that there be kind of a joint living situation with a mixing of financial resources. That's much harder to prove than just a straight remarriage, but if you think that's going on, you can ask about it.
Joe Roark of the Bryant Law Center has been our guest discussing divorce and family law. In segment number one of today's Local 6 Legal Line, we'll have part two coming up in just a minute, and we'll be talking about criminal law at that point with Emily Roark. Stay tuned. Part two coming up on Local 6 Midday.